Adam Driver revealed that he and Steven Soderbergh spent 2 years developing a Star Wars film that was ultimately nixed by Disney. And this is from AP News. Let's get into it. He says, I always was interested in doing another Star Wars. I had been talking about doing another one since 2021. I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I loved that character and loved playing him. Driver says he took a concept to Soderbergh for a film that would take place after The Rise of Skywalker, which that movie culminated in Kylo Ren's redemption and the death of his character. Driver felt there was unfinished business for Kylo Ren, or as he was known before turning to the dark side, Ben Solo. The article says Soderbergh and Rebecca Blunt outlined a story that the group then pitched to Kennedy, Lucasfilm Vice President Carrie Beck, and Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni. They were interested, so the filmmakers then pulled in Scott Z. Burns to write a script. Driver calls the result one of the coolest scripts I had ever been a part of. We presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it. We took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. Now, I think this is particularly ironic how somehow Palpatine returned in The Rise of Skywalker, and they don't see how Ben Solo can return. Which I'm kind of in the camp of Ben Solo should have lived, and the fact that they killed him, I think, was a huge mistake. And obviously I don't like the idea of characters being brought back. I think it really weakens the huge statement of someone dying if they can just come back somehow. So I think if Ben Solo hadn't died, I would have loved to see a movie like this. And he says it was called The Hunt for Ben Solo, and was really cool. But it is no more, so I can finally talk about it. So both Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh have spoken about this, since they can now talk about it because it's not happening. Which, my conspiracy theory is that, I kind of said this before on X, that Disney kind of puts things out there, or lets things get out there, and kind of sees where things go. So they want to see the reaction of the fans to news like this. And I think after this went viral over the internet, this was a few weeks ago, I think there's always a chance that they could consider this again. Especially now that Bob Iger is getting flack for saying no to the project. Steven Soderbergh said in a statement, I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it. Driver says, we wanted to be judicial about how to spend money and be economical with it, and do it for less than most, but in the same spirit of what those movies are, which is handmade and character-driven. Empire Strikes Back being, in my opinion, the standard of what those movies were. But he is, to me, one of my favorite directors of all time. He lives his code, lives his ethics, doesn't compromise. So as I said, I think this movie would have been cool to see if his character hadn't died, if Ben Solo hadn't died, which is ultimately Disney's fault in destroying probably one of the most compelling characters in the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people that don't like the sequel trilogy and believe the same way. I know not everyone likes Kylo Ren as a character, and they think of him as a whiny knockoff of Darth Vader. But if you truly don't like his character, don't see anything great that could have come from it, then I'll respect that opinion. But as I said, this news, when it came out, kind of went viral on X, and people were talking about it a lot. And I think this would have been a cool movie to see. Do I think they should do it now? No. Because, like I said, I don't like the fact that they made him die in the Rise of Skywalker. So if they were to make him somehow return, I wouldn't like that. But I would have loved to see this movie if his character hadn't died. But I think Adam Driver is a great actor. I think he played the part well. He played the character well. And he seems like he's a true Star Wars fan and likes the franchise and is very, as he said, if something had a great director and a great story, he'd be there in a second. And I think it's ironic how now a number of Star Wars actors understand Star Wars more than Disney, the owners of the franchise. You got actors like Mark Hamill, John Boyega, and now Adam Driver. These people are very story driven, and they want great directors, great scripts, and great characters. And as a Star Wars fan, I want that too. And we have gotten it with some projects. I can't deny Disney has made great stuff. But the overall trend I'm seeing in a lot of projects is that they're quickly trying to get rid of original characters to bring up their own. And that isn't being responded to well by a lot of the fans. And if Disney keeps ignoring that, I think the Star Wars brand will continue to decline. But I'm optimistic, and I have hope. I believe that ultimately Star Wars will get back to what it once was. I think if we just be patient and make your opinions known and state them on social media, that Disney will finally see that in the numbers, and they'll see it, and they'll have to respond. That's about all I have to say about that. If you made it this far, comment down below. Would you still like to see this movie? And I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, guys. May the Force be with you.